Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're looking at a watch from Mido with the Multifort dual time with a blue dial. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as an authorized dealer. So in this video, deep dive on this timepiece, final points of consideration at the end, but also if you're interested in this watch, a link in the description down below will be to the product page where you can purchase the watch. But guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch.
So when thinking of the many watches around $1,000, I mention quite often, Mido isn't one that is mentioned often. But I think that is, unjustly so, just given the breadth of collection that they have and offering, some good complications, a variety of styles for the money. Now today we're looking at a watch that I don't think many people consider, but when you look at what it's delivering for the money, I think it's a very well done package with a Multifort dual time in blue. So looking at the Multifort dual time on the wrist, we have a case diameter coming in at 42 millimeters, just short of 49 millimeters in terms of the lug to lug, and a thickness of 13.3 millimeters. Indeed thicker than the 12 millimeters offered by this watch's time-only sibling, but understandable considering the more complicated caliber lying within. Even with the 13.3 millimeters in thickness in mind, the Multifort dual time should wear well in a vast majority of dress shirts and kind of sliding underneath those jacket cuffs, unless you're talking about something very tight. However, at 42 millimeters with the majority of the metric being occupied by the eye-catching dial, this is still a larger watch on the wrist, all things considered. Looking at the architecture, the case construction is straightforward with a sloping bezel, vertical case flanks, and simple 90-degree angles at the downswept lugs that measure 22 millimeters across. Near the case back, the flanks give to another bevel that eases the transition from the vertical case sides to the dome exhibition case back. One important area of differentiation for a brand like Mido compared to Hamilton or Tissot is the level of finishing on display. I find Mido is more consistent with the output of products in the price range in which they're occupying. Hamilton has a wider range of spectrum as you have entry-level models and prices that are going to go north of $2,000 for their watches. Mido is really catered around that $700-800 range to $1,500 range. The case features polishing on the lug tops, across the bezel, and on the facets nearing the case back, and the overall presentation of the watch itself could be fairly described as refined or dressy, though the capable water-resistant spec and the presence of lume does help give the piece additional versatility. At the 3 o'clock position, we have a domed and screwed down crown that operates the movement in GMT fashion. Hand-winding the Powermatic 80 movement inside is done in the first position, and the second position offers the independent adjustment of the local hour hand without stopping the balance, while also changing the date when passing at midnight. You can go bidirectionally as well, making this a true GMT movement, an excellent option for any type of travel across time zones. Extending the crown all the way out to that third position, you then are able to stop the balance and then advance the hands, including that 24-hour hand that would be used for home time when traveling. This movement is equipped with a hacking second feature to help with setting for precise time, and with the crown securely back into its first position, this model has water-resistant capabilities to 100 meters, making it certainly capable in many water environments. Between the almost universal 22 millimeter lugs, the Multifort leans into a 3-link General Oyster style bracelet that is brushed across the outer links and is polished on the center link, which will show signs of wear over time. Now the bracelet is comfortable and well finished, as you might expect if you've handled any of Mido's watches or seen their watches before, though it doesn't feature the same additional attention to the edges demonstrated on the adjacent Ocean Star collection. The draping straight down though from the solid end links, the bracelet tapers down to 18.5 millimeters at that hidden butterfly style clasp. It all comes together with some milled components and a smooth action when opening and closing, while foregoing the use of any type of micro adjustment, though there is a half link on both sides of the clasp to help with fine tuning the fit. Now glancing back over to the watch's anterior surface, the dial rests beneath the safety of a sapphire crystal that is ever so slightly domed and complete with anti-reflective coating on both sides. The dial itself presents a number of other elements that strengthen the finishing for dollar arguments so often made by Mido. Starting with the metallic blue primary surface, the Multifort dual time here also features longitudinal waves, not unlike the Geneva waves so often utilized in the finishing of mechanical movement components, and depending on the viewing angle and lighting conditions, these waves range from barely visible to impressively prominent, adding another dose of interest to the watch as a whole. Starting with the dial's periphery, a sloping chapter ring is printed white over blue with hash marks that denote the minutes. Moving inwards, we notice applied, polished, faceted trapezoidal hour markers. Just within, we have a recessed channel printed with 24-hour markings in white that are read in tandem with the additional skeletonized Dauphine hands that is, at least for me, a bit too similar in size and style to the hour hand, with the minute hand easily standing out with this additional length. The indices as well as the hour and minute hands do contain small helpings of luminous material. However, lume isn't a highlight of this piece. At 3, we have a frame date window, breaking up the visual design to an extent, but adding legitimate utility in the process. Dial text is also under control, not going too far overboard here, but the only brand word mark in automatic at noon, and the model name in dual time text neatly printed in white at 6, which is going to speak to the nature of that Caliber 80 on the inside. Now, turning the watch over to reveal the screw-down exhibition case back through which we can view the Mido Caliber 80, this movement is part of the ETA C07 family of calibers, this one specifically being off the base of the ETA C07661. Like a number of other executions of this caliber within Mido's collection, this example exhibits a utilitarian level of finish with a matte effect across the bridges and other movement components with Geneva striping present on the oscillating weight. Here also you'll find the modern Mido logo signed in the center, as well as the reference to the Caliber 80 along the bottom edge of the rotor. As far as the technical specifications go, the GMT version of this Caliber 80 operates at 21,600 vibrations per hour, 3 Hz, which is slowed down from the 28,800 vibrations per hour, 4 Hz of the base movement. This slowing of the beat frequency, modifying the gear train, barrel, and mainspring, this is going to allow this 42-hour approximate movement base to jump up to 80 hours. Additionally, the balance assembly has been upgraded for a standard regulating pin system to a free-sprung balance assembly. Since this does go away from the typical regulator pins, I did want to test out this example just to give some accuracy. When testing across 5 different positions, it was testing between -5 to +2 seconds a day. Just unpacking on this movement, it operates 21,600 vibrations per hour, 3 Hz. It does feature hacking and hand winding. Again, hacking stopping the second hand when you pull the crown to the farthest position. It has a power reserve of 80 hours. Now to unpack looking at this MIDO Multifort dual time. As mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is just one of these watches and just brands that just kind of gets lost in the mix. And when you start to actually take a closer look at some of their models, you're like, wait, this is great. Why don't people talk about this more? I think the one thing here is going to be the size. I think that's probably what most people are going to say. It's going to wear pretty true to a 42mm case when on wrist, if not a little bit smaller, maybe a 41.5. But once you look beyond that, or say you have some preferences towards the medium to larger end of the spectrum of case size, this is a pretty well delivered package for the money. Now, I think the number one thing that's going to stand out here outside of just the visual dynamic of the wave grooves on the dial is going to be the movement on the inside, 80-hour power reserve, and getting that true GMT functionality with that dual time here. Having the ability on the fly with that local time zone is going to be incredibly helpful and is a unique experience compared to the price range. We're talking about a watch that's just north of $1,000 utilizing this type of functionality when typically you're looking at maybe entry doors of like a Tudor. So this is interesting to see, although maybe some people will say that's an overrated feature and not worth that giant jump. But to get in a watch like this, most of the category here is going to be using Solida and basic ETA calibers for the GMT movement, so that is nice. Finishing all across the board, the dial, the bracelet, all well done. Micro adjustment and lume are probably 2 other points that I could definitely mark as criticism. The lume could be improved. It's not in high supply on those markers, as well as the hands very finely applied. And then also the micro adjustment might create some challenges when sizing this bracelet, but the half lengths will come in handy. But again, another underrated watch from Mido. This isn't going to be a watch that's going to be the definitive everyday watch for $1,000, but if you're looking for something with some GMT functionality, well finished, something that's outside of the maybe norm of what many people will look for, and it's just a solid watch at the end of the day, this is a nice one to look at. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That does help out the channel. But also, if you're in the market for the watch presented in this video, it is available on Baldassarre.com. We're a full authorized dealer of over 30 brands, quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support, and a full factory warranty for all the new products that we offer. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all next time.